Hi folks, today I'm particularly happy because I can finally share and disclose the full info about the next Sony camera announcement that is happening on May 28th. I have the name of the camera, the specs, so everything you need to know. And this is an exclusive info I share first on this channel and on sonyalpha.com. No other website reported about this camera as of yet. And right after this video, after you will see this video, you will see many copying that content and discussing it. Which is normal, but many also do not cite me as the original source. That's why I ask you now to take 2 seconds time, first of all, to like this video to help me in the YouTube algorithm, so that I can still be on front for a while on YouTube before all the others come. And of course, also subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button to not miss out the upcoming rumors. So folks, Sony did recently register 2 new cameras in Asia, one back in April and one now in May. This means that Sony will announce 2 cameras between now and max August. So we're getting finally 2 cameras after the Sony A1 II launch back in November. So a lot of time passed and yeah, we got the FX3A, but this really doesn't count. Now on May 28th, we are getting a real new camera, so something really new and very exciting. And first of all, I will tell you now the name of the camera. It's going to be the Sony FX2. So we are getting the Sony FX2 May 28th and only that camera. So there will be, as far as I heard, no other, not the second camera that has been registered, nor a lens. So we should get only the FX2, but if FX2 is actually quite an interesting model because it's unique. It doesn't replace a model that exists yet, because this will be the first FX camera, compact FX camera, full frame E-mount camera with integrated tiltable EVF. That's the real news of the camera, that it's part of FX3, FX30 lineup and concept and philosophy, but it has an integrated EVF and tiltable, something we haven't seen yet on a full frame E-mount camera from Sony. And I also have the full specs of this camera, but first I want to talk about the design. I don't have yet images to share, but sources were kind enough to describe me how this camera looked. But before I go into design, a quick note that if you happen to have more info about this camera, or even images or info about other cameras and lenses from other brands that you want to share, you can contact me using the email address here and the contact box, which is anonymous. Use a nickname so that I can recognize in future. And also post this video on those QR codes for Signal and Telegram if you want to chat with me directly. So back to the FX2. First of all, I'm 100% certain this is the camera we are getting on May 28th because I got 7 sources, some of them trusted, some of them new, confirming that they saw the camera. So I'm sure the Sony FX2 is coming. So there will be no mistake here. And from the design, it basically looks like the Sony FX3, but it has the integrated EVF in the corner. And I've been told the EVF is not a small EVF like on the Sony A7C series. It's a huge, chunky EVF with big eye cup, really made for filmmakers out there. So this is not a classic EVF for photographer, but more for filmmakers. And the body is slightly thicker than the FX3, I've been told, but more or less the size is about the same, a little bit thicker, a chunky EVF in the left corner of the camera if you look at it from the back. And that's the Sony FX2. Hopefully, like I said, in a few days I can also show you some images of this camera. This is when it comes to the design. Now I will read the specs that I wrote down here on my Excel list. So the first info that I can share is not obviously about the sensor. It uses the same. Some sources say that maybe it's a slightly tweaked version, but it looks like a same or similar Sony A7 V sensor, which means 33 megapixel full frame sensor. It's an excellent sensor, but if you were hoping to get something like a global shutter or something like this, I was actually hoping to get the global shutter on the FX3 too. This is not the case. We're getting this sensor, maybe it will have some tweaks, so maybe it improves better when it comes to image quality, but this is something still I have to get a confirmation. It has the AI chip, which means also the new AI autofocus system. It has the integrated tiltable EVF. That's something I already told you, a big chunk. I don't know the resolution of the EVF yet. I hope the resolution is higher than on the A7C to A7CR. It has the mechanical shutter. It shoots 4K 60p Super 35. It has something that I really like on Panasonic cameras. It has 32-bit audio, float audio, which is a feature that allows you to record audio without having to worry of distortion. Everything you record is usable. Panasonic has that feature for the cameras like the GH7. The new S1 II supports 32-bit float audio, and so I think this is a great news. If you are a filmmaker, you can use the Sony FX2, and you have already an integrated EVF, which makes it way more usable. For my opinion, if you shoot the commentary or something on the fly, if you're an indie shooter, and then you also have 32-bit floating audio, I think then it's a nice package. I told you the body is thicker than the FX3. It has the same active ventilation, so that it's a cooled body. Same ports and storage of the FX3. Now the price is a bit more difficult to tell you what it will be. Price without tariffs should be $3,000. With the tariffs could be something above $3,500. This all depends where the camera is manufactured. The higher end FX cameras like the FX6, FX9 are manufactured in China, while the FX3, for example, is manufactured in Thailand, and there you have a 10% tariff rate. I guess price will be something like $3,500. But this is something I hope my sources can get back to me and let me know as soon as we have a final info. But this is more or less the ballpark for the pricing, which puts it close to the FX3. Still, the price would be lower than the FX3. Then the question is really why you should buy the FX3 if the FX2 can do everything the FX3 apparently can do, but you have an integrated EVF and 32-bit float audio and all the latest gimmicks, that AI gimmicks that Sony has given us on, for example, the Sony A1 II. So that makes the FX3 quite look outdated, unless maybe there is something in the specs that we still don't know that changes that. But to me, the FX2 looks like a real winner if the pricing still is the one I told you. But for that I need a confirmation. So again, I hope that trusted sources or sources can tell me more after this video. Contact me and just let me know what the final pricing will be. And let me know now in the comment system what you think about this camera. Is this the official FX3 successor, the FX2? I've been told by a source, nope, the FX3 II is still on the roadmap. So I don't know when the FX3 II is coming, but the sources say it's in the works. And I suspect that after the FX2 launch, that FX3 II has to be coming quite soon, because who is going to buy the FX3 when the FX2 can do more? And I keep my fingers crossed that the FX3 II is coming soon after, and that it has the global shutter sensor, which I think is really important for filmmaking. And so it's not a FX3 successor. The second question, which is kind of intriguing, is this the sort of A7S III successor we were waiting for? Because basically it's a cine focus camera with integrated EVF, just like the A7S lineup. I didn't get an answer about that. I don't know if there will be an A7S IV anytime in the future. I heard nothing about it. And of course the FX2 sort of bridges the gap between the FX3 and the A7S, because it gives you the ability to have a cine camera with integrated EVF, just like on the A7S. Still, the A7S is known for the high ISO performance, the ultimate clean images. That's why it uses a lower resolution 12 megapixel sensor. An A7S IV with a new 24 megapixel sensor could still make sense. Also, you have the EVF in the center instead of the corner. Maybe it's still more appealing to have that. I don't know. Let me know in the comment system if you think that the FX2 is basically killing the chance to get an A7S IV. Now, at the beginning of the video I told you there are two cameras coming from Sony, because Sony did register two cameras in China. One is manufactured in China and one is manufactured in Japan. My feeling is the A7 V is the second camera, just because I know from trusted sources that this camera is ready. And now that, for example, the Sony A1 II is finally in stock again, BH Photo just updated the info and says that from May 15 we will have the Sony A1 II in stock. After 6 months, the camera is finally available for everyone. I think now Sony can afford to launch a new camera, and this should be the Sony a7 IV, but I still don't have a final confirmation. And I hope that after this video, sources that usually watch this video and read also sonyalpha.com will come back and just give me a hint about what to expect after the Sony FX2 launch, if it's indeed the Sony a7 IV or something else. My dream camera as a photographer would be to get a new RX1 full-frame compact fixed lens camera version. I think the Sony should absolutely do it, and I would definitely consider to buy it. Again, if you appreciate the work I did on this room, or the fact that I'm the first in the world to tell you about this camera, then it would mean a lot if you would take the effort to like this video and also subscribe, of course, if you don't want to miss any of the upcoming exciting videos. I think, folks, I see you soon with very big news, not only about the Sony FX2, but about the Sony camera coming after that, the Sony lens announcement before summer, the Sigma lens announcement, Hasselblad, Fujifilm, and so forth. There's still a lot that will be announced before you can go on holiday this summer, okay? See you soon, folks.